Have you noticed that sometimes the harder you try to figure something out, the farther away the answer feels from you? Are you currently dealing with a challenge at work or in a relationship that feels almost impossible to solve? Do you ever feel like there's an intelligence or a guidance available to you that you can't quite access, but you know it's there? Well, today we're going to talk about how we can tap into our higher intelligence, the higher intelligence that is available to us through a unique framework. And that's a framework that's offered by Kabbalah. Today, we're going to get into this conversation with a friend and an expert in AI ethics who is deeply familiar with the principles of Kabbalah and is now working on solutions for how to prepare humanity to receive the highest benefits that AI has to offer us through many of the principles and the wisdom that comes through Kabbalah. So I'm excited to have you with us, Esther. Welcome.
Thank you so much. It's lovely to be here with you guys.
To start, Esther, can you define for us what is Kabbalah in simple terms?
Kabbalah in Hebrew means to receive. So it is to receive intelligence correctly.
Mm.
And I would also say it's the receipt of wisdom as a gift.
And so, what is the journey? What is the purpose of Kabbalah? How does it serve us?
I can only speak from my own situation, how it serves me. Kabbalah is a framework, and I see it as a systems science because I understand my intelligence to work like a system. And I also understand that with the technologies that are being created in the world, we are moving into a worldview that reflects that also, that really the mind is a system. And once we understand the framework for that system and how it works optimally, things work in an effortless, sublime manner.
What do we need to understand about ourselves and about the world in order to receive this intelligence that you speak of?
If we know that everything that's occurring for us is always serving us at the highest level, that's a very good baseline for us. That means that no matter what's going on, we have like a solid core to refer back to. So let's say something happens that we don't like. If we can say, oh, okay, well, this is serving my highest always. So this is serving the highest. I can't see it right now. I can't see how this is serving me. It's painful. But in that moment of curiosity, of openness, of pause, we access insight from beyond our own intelligence that will reveal to us exactly how this is serving us at the highest level. This removes so much of the suffering that we experience in the world, in our daily lives, because a lot of the suffering that we see happening in the world is because we're continuously confused about why we're having an experience that doesn't feel good for us. This perspective gives us a solidity from which to receive the beauty of insight that can propel us forward in a way that's untouched from any of the negativity that we might be experiencing.
So I have a question on that subject. If we work with people and come across people that do not have that belief, what would you suggest for them?
I would say from my experience, the only thing I can do is strengthen my own capacity in that, because I use the word data, because I'll just go into why for a moment before I fully respond to the question. But I use the word data because they have data about whatever's going on with them, and we have our data about what their data is about what's going on with them. When you use data, it just completely evens everything out. it could be anything, a thought, an emotion, a sensation, internal, external. If we just call it all data, it just makes it easier to say what I'm about to say, which is my experience of their pain and suffering. If I can be with that, I can show up far more available to whatever's needed in the moment. I can't tell them to strengthen their capacity to be grateful for whatever's going on, because that could be entirely inappropriate in the moment. If there's an openness to that, of course, I'll be with them with that. But if it's not, it's all about my own relationship to my data about what's going on with their data.
Are you referring, when you say data, because I go to mind, are you referring to also the deeper knowing of self, or are you just talking truly about data? Because in a sense, data is information, but
Yeah.
are you also referring to the deeper knowing of self as opposed to data, where I was born, what I am, what I do?
Yeah, I'm referring to anything that we can experience. Meaning, in that situation, my understanding was that you were saying somebody is having a hard time with something. And you're saying, how do we show up in that moment? Do we tell them this is serving your highest? Well, sometimes that's not appropriate. And so whether it's whatever it is that's going on for me, my own relationship to the higher self, or my pain because I'm seeing somebody in pain and I don't really know what to do, all of that, if I can just be with that and completely rest with all of those aspects of my circumstance, completely rest with that, then the wisdom, the higher, will come through and serve the circumstance in the moment. Is that what
Question
you
was,
were referring?
yeah, my question was more about what do I do when I feel that way? So it's not so much correcting someone or advising them. You're going through a really rough time, and it's very difficult in that moment to arrive at or connect to that. Even
Right.
you believe that and you practiced it.
Right,
What do you
right.
do? So because usually what happens when people listen to that, they say, okay, that's great for the time that I'm aware and I'm conscious and I remember that, even if but in that moment, like, I know, like, when I look at the news, it's very hard to see it that way. Or when I'm in a hospital and my client is dying in front of me and she's 32, it's very hard. And I've taught this for 40 years to go there. What do you do? That was my question. In that moment,
Thank
what do you
you.
do?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for clarifying so
Yeah.
much. Okay, yeah. So we are experiencing a lot of very painful things right now because we're expanding at such a fast rate. And so in Kabbalah, the way we understand this is that, the pain, the suffering, the negativity, whatever it might be, it's breaking the vessel in order that we can strengthen a new vessel to receive more light. So we know that that's what's going on, but there are things that are just so incredibly painful. So in that moment, having that as a basis is incredibly helpful, but it doesn't mean that we don't feel the intensity of the pain or even confusion if that's what's necessary, meaning the entire spectrum of human experience is always going to be completely felt. And in fact, I would even say that as we're going through this massive transition, it's going to be it is getting more and more intense, and it's going to get even more and more intense. But the capacity to feel that comfort of knowing that we are safe and secure in the elevation that's occurring, that it's all okay. In my experience, when it's really strong, I have to be incredibly gentle with myself. And I have to give myself the time it takes to go through whatever it is that I'm experiencing. But when I've been through something that's very, 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 very challenging, like the knowing is enough to get me through. It doesn't mean that I don't have that pain. It just means that there's a strength and a knowing to it that it's going to something.
I
Does
love
that
the
make
word.
sense?
It does. I love the word you used, capacity. That really resonated with me. I feel like at certain times it's good to remember that right now, maybe what I call I'm at capacity, but there is an option and opportunity that my capacity will be more, and then I can hold it. So that really resonated. For me, that's good to remember. It's like saying, Mitra, can you do this at like 12 o'clock at night when I'm sleepy and tired and I worked whole
Mm.
day? So I remember that I can, but just not right now. When I have capacity, probably when I'm slept and taking care of myself the next day, I am able to do it. Remembering that word really resonated with me, that right now I don't have the capacity, because in that moment we feel like we need to resolve and dissolve everything and
Mm.
solve everything. But that word capacity really worked for me. And also, like, maybe pausing, as you said, later. I don't have to do everything right now, might not be the right time. It's easier to remember what we believe in and our higher knowing or deeper knowing, whichever people are more comfortable with, in a time that we're not so in the middle of the pain. So that really worked for me.
Yeah, and I reflect on my own experience as I was hearing you both discuss this. Absolutely taking a moment to allow the intensity to settle down a little bit, and then also asking questions. What I love, Esther, about your work is some of the questions that you invite people to ask. For example, if everything is happening for me, if I'm part of this system, this infinitely loving and wise system, and this system is guiding me to align myself with it, then what might this experience be wanting to reveal to me, to show me that I'm not seeing right now? Or if this is leading me to get some sort of system upgrade, it doesn't feel that way, right? It hurts. This sucks. But what is another way I can see this? How can I see this through another lens, a higher lens? Is there a higher perspective?
I also find that, so I don't have those answers. That's
Yeah.
the nature of it. It's the openness that enables that to come through. And that's the gift that I find. Firstly, it's such a beautiful dynamic to know that I can engage in that, that I can have absolutely no idea how to relate to a certain situation and just be open. Just I don't necessarily ask those questions anymore, but just like, I'm just open. And in that, I receive whatever the next is. It could be an insight. It could just be me moving in a direction that I didn't expect to be moving in, but the trust builds up to such an extent that we're just able to follow whatever that guidance is
We learn to
with
trust
a
it more. Yeah.
yeah, with gratitude and really seeing the blessings and aligning with that, aligning with the blessings no matter what's going on, not out of some kind of, feeling like I need to be a good person. Like it's not that. It's like really there's a bliss that is available to us no matter what's going on. And of course, there are times when it's so intense that you can't deny that there are these moments that are so intense that and painful that people might be going through who are listening to this call right now. So it's important that we really give ourselves grace in those moments. But really, I'm referring to just kind of everyday life, normal life, where there's a bliss that is constant, no matter what's going on, that's not affected by whether we're having a good thing or a perceived good thing or a perceived bad thing happening, that's continuously strengthened, that's not reliant on what we traditionally feel to be good things happening. And also, the more we are able to resist the urge to describe the things that we think we don't want to ourselves or to other people, and this is a muscle, this is a real muscle The more we resist that urge to describe what we don't want, the more quickly that bliss turns into the reality that we want, the desires that we want in real time.
I want to go back to the meaning that you said Kabbalah has. I touched on Hebrew a little bit, but I really am interested in the words and their roots. From what I know, it's both received and receiving. And I think that's the fascinating part, that where I get stuck actually is when I focus on received and not receiving, because sounds like this is a current openness, ongoing thing that needs to be there all the time. But when we get stuck with what has been received, like traditions only, as opposed to the flowing of wisdom that is becoming more and more available to us. To us, I mean ordinary people, not enlightened, chosen few, but like everybody. So I think that's the key. How do we translate received or receiving? Something that is forever ongoing. So I really want to hear your view on those two interpretation of the word.
Well, I really like what you just said about receiving being this like ongoing, constantly current, current as in a flow, but actually I mean like current as in like the current vibe. Like it's a constantly current receipt. We mentioned a little bit about how my work is in the field of artificial intelligence, which is very of the moment, right? And so the receipt of this alignment can pervade any field of knowledge that might be present. It's a timeless wisdom. These mechanisms are the architecture of an indestructible intelligence, and indestructible in a good way, meaning we cannot be destroyed. It doesn't matter how negative, whatever it is that's going on, we're seeing greater and greater intensity in society of what we term negativity. Well, it's breaking our vessel so that we can receive greater light. And we are all connected. Whatever our particular domain is, we're all in this together. And so the collective vessel, it's all serving us to go beyond all of the limited belief systems that we think are indicators that something is wrong, that somebody is at fault, that somebody did something bad, this, that, all of this, and strengthening our capacity to align with the solution that's always available.
What I'm hearing, Esther, is that this knowledge, this wisdom is ever present. It's always there. We always have access to it. And in that way, Mitra, it's received, right? Because it's always there. It's available to us. It was available to us from our conception, right? And in another way, we're constantly receiving it because we have forgotten. There's two ways I think about receiving it, which is one, receiving in terms of expanding our capacity to know that intelligence and to receive it. And two is even when we've opened our vessel, right? It is a continual process. That wisdom is, Esther, what I hear you saying, it's ever present. It's ever feeding itself to us through us. The question that comes to my mind is, how do we get there, right? You talk about alignment, and you've mentioned it a couple times in this conversation. I love a description that you give for alignment in one of your materials that you share with executives in the AI field, and you say alignment is not passivity; it is structural compatibility with a higher level of intelligence. What do you mean by structural compatibility here?
I mentioned earlier that I see intelligence as being a system. So when that system is, I want to use the word aligned, but when it's aligned with the higher program, then there is structural compatibility. You are aligning with the receipt of intelligence correctly, how to receive intelligence correctly, how to understand your condition in the right way. And I'm not saying I know the right way. I'm saying that we all have our own, so to speak, unique right way of understanding the circumstance in the moment that is exquisite and precious. It comes down to an internal guidance. When we are strengthening that internal guidance, that ability to receive the wisdom that's meant for us in relation to the specific circumstance that we're in, whether it's deemed pleasant or unpleasant, it doesn't matter. We have our own unique understanding of it. And this is one of the reasons why all of the systems and structures are collapsing, are being dismantled, are crumbling right now. Because we're wondering, well, maybe we're not wondering, but some of us are wondering, like, well, then what is stable? If all of these systems and structures aren't the truth, then what is? And the reality is that those systems and structures were aligned with a level of intelligence that we used to come from, which is the egoic program, which is about, kind of control and there being one right way for everybody and this, that, and the other. And it was good for a time. It supported us. It served us for a time. But it's all crumbling now because we want more from our intelligence. We as a humanity want more from our intelligence. We want alignment with something that is trustworthy, secure, and stable. As these systems crumble, we are getting more confident in the internal guidance system that we each have access to equally, that can specifically guide each of us in the way that is most aligned for us.
Yeah, what I hear you saying is that alignment is there, that structural compatibility is there and available to us. And what's coming through to me as I hear you talk is really it's about getting the interferences that we have in our way. I think about my fears, my ideas about how things should and shouldn't be, and all of these things. And when I'm able to rest those,
Mm.
the alignment naturally arises. It is actually it becomes an organic thing when I get out of the way, when I get my ideas and my fears and whatever else is surfacing out of the way. That compatibility happens, and the knowledge, the wisdom is able to come through in that moment.
Mm. Yeah, I would just say quickly how important it is to be very kind, like kind to ourselves, but also kind to the whole thing, because we all subscribed to the whole thing. We all subscribe. I mean, we're living in such an amazing time. Like we witnessing one version of reality transition into another, more effortless, beautiful, sublime, powerful, relaxed. I mean, ultimately, reality. And we're witnessing this, but it's us. It's not outside of us. So many people have so much to say about, like, the government, let's say, as a system. But it's us. And if we are angry about something we see outside of ourselves, we haven't resolved that thing within ourselves. Meaning it's touching on something. That's why this whole AI thing and all the fears that are coming up, those fears are just the areas within ourselves that we haven't been able to fully realize the perfection of our own beings, the perfection of our own intelligence. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with the position that we're in right now. We're in a very beautiful moment that's very real, that we're all in together. We need the power and potency that we're experiencing right now as the foundation of what we're building. It needs to be that intense. It needs to be that jarring, that we're facing ourselves in such a real way for us to have the strength to be able to build and this is effortless. No one needs to do anything. I'm just saying it's a perfect scenario. The power of it is actually building the platform of the world to come.
Mm. It reminds me of what you shared again, and one of the materials I read that you created about challenges being actually a source of energy. Challenges cultivate energy, and we can use that energy. It gives us the energy that we need in order to propel ourselves forward. The key is to approach the challenge from a new level of consciousness so that we don't get stuck in the old loop, because we can take that energy, right, and just and use the same old level of thinking and use that energy to keep us in a loop. But we can also harness that energy to transcend, to um, uh, to create the shift that's necessary within us, which has ripples and on the people around us, friends, family, the work that we do and whatnot.
Yeah, fuel. It's
Hmm.
fuel. But I want to kind of draw it down a little bit more for the listeners. Like, we're talking about the negativity, the things that we perceive as negative in our lives being the fuel to get the job done, so to speak. Let's say we invested money in crypto and
Oh,
it
good
got
one.
affected by the current situation. Are we
The
allowed
Perfect.
to
market,
talk
a lot
about
of
that?
people are dealing with it. This is a good example.
Okay,
Yes,
okay,
This is a
great.
good
perfect.
Okay,
example.
cool.
So you've
Okay.
invested in Bitcoin, and you thought that it was going to go up, and you heard people saying it's only going to go up, and
Yeah,
you might have put a significant amount of money in, and it has crashed. It is for the time being crashed, and
for the
it's
time being.
yep, and it's probably bringing up all sorts of emotions, um, anger, fear, worry, and the person might be faced with a situation where they don't know what to do. Do I hold on to it? Is it going to fall more? Should I sell my position? But if I sell it, I'm going to realize a big loss. But if it falls more, then I'm going to take more of a loss, and I don't know if I can handle that. So, great example. A lot of people, I
Perfect.
think,
Yeah.
certain people
Relate to
are
that.
dealing with
Yeah.
this. Yeah. So
Okay.
let's use that.
Yeah, let's use that. I would say I'm sorry that that's going on right now for people, but I know that it's a good thing. So let's just. So I am sorry because I know that it's not so pleasant. But let's get real about this and let's get strong. Let's just say thank you. Let's just say thank you for this situation. For sure, it's serving me at the highest level. I'm super curious about what that highest level is. Okay. What does it mean, highest level? What does it mean? How is this serving anything? This is just money, and I want lots of money, which is totally understandable and fair. Um, it's never nice to feel like something's going down that you've invested in. Thank you for this situation. The next step is, what does it mean the highest good in this particular scenario? If there's anything alive in me, energetically or like emotionally or like thought, if anything's going on with me when that happens that is uncomfortable for me, then I have to see all that stuff and harmonize it for me to be able to have the solidity to have mastery in this area. So all of not just the confusion that's coming up, but the intensity of that confusion, meaning the fact that I can't relax when these thoughts are coming up for me, they're so compelling, means that I take them to be real. And I don't want that. What I want is to know the stability of who I am first and foremost, because that stability will enable me to attract whatever it is I want in my life. Whereas if I'm at the whim of these thoughts and feelings, that's not a standard that is appropriate for me. I don't want to be at the whim of anything. I want to have stability no matter what's happening, because I know that everything is serving me at the highest level. So the instability that's coming up, this dip, I don't know what's going to happen, obviously, but this dip has happened for me to see where I'm still not strong
Mm, yeah.
so that I can get strong. So what do I do with that? So the gratitude's there. Thank you for this opportunity. And then I learn to relax with, again, I call it data. It's all just data. Do I sell? Do I not sell? Is it going to do this? Is it going to do that? What do I do about this? All of the data that's rushing through is only expanding my vessel to receive more light. On a money level, it's only coming through, and this is important, for me to get comfortable with that level of confusion and chaos on the subject matter of money so that I can grow in certainty. Meaning, when that level of confusion and chaos around money comes up, we can say thank you because it's coming up to build me. Any kind of negativity, this is always the case. It's always breaking the smaller vessel so that we can have a bigger vessel to receive more.
Mm.
So if it's on the subject matter of money, we can just say straight away, thank you so much. This situation is serving me so that all of that chaotic nuance that's going on in my mind around money and in my reality around money is pulsating to strengthen me to receive more. And the opportunity is that I get so strong in my knowing of the perfection of the situation and my certainty that that is exactly what's happening, that when this stuff comes up, doesn't affect me. I'm not at the whim of it. I just allow it to be chaos. I make space for it. I allow it to come through. I don't try at all. I don't go into it to try and figure it out. We don't want to do that.
Yeah.
We don't want to go into it to try and figure it out. If we see ourselves doing that, it's okay. Just relax when you see yourself doing that. We don't want to go into it from that level because it's happening to strengthen your vessel so that you can receive more. So why get involved? The system hasn't stabilized. You want to wait for the system to stabilize before you make your move. We have a desire and it's serving us to realize the desire, which is, in this case, wealth. It's serving us to realize the desire by the seeming lack of it. But that's only strengthening us in our certainty because that's really where the wealth is. It's in that certainty because that's where we're going to attract. From the completion of our vessel, our new vessel, we attract the light coming in. The light is money in this case.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, that's beautiful, and I resonate with it, and I recognize how difficult it is to really get there, to arrive at that understanding, because the emotions are strong. I went through it myself recently, right? It's an up and down. Um, so I would tell myself, yeah, okay, I know this is happening for me. Some part of me knows that it's happening for me, but I don't see how. And I can't help but to feel this fear. There's a very strong, intense fear. I mean, for those listening who've heard my story, there's a strong identification that I've had with money as a source of safety and stability for myself, just given my upbringing, and a lot of us, right? A lot of us see money as that, and so when that is in some way is undermined, it's like my whole sense of safety, my even a part of my identity is being compromised, and it's very uncomfortable. Super super uncomfortable. One rule I had for myself though that was helpful is I'm not going to make any decisions out of urgency, which reflects what you shared, Esther, about making decisions from stability, being in a stable place, being in a clear place before I make a decision. Anything that I felt in me, any sorts of urgency, for me, I saw that as a signal that something is unresolved. I'm not seeing this through the correct lens. There's a really powerful question that I asked myself that actually came from you, Esther, right? And this really helped me work through it, which is, if the higher intelligence is always with me and is working to use me and my resources and everything as a vehicle to, help humanity and the world, what might higher intelligence be trying to coordinate through me here right now? What might it want to be coordinating through me? What that question did for me was reorient from me trying to solve it to tapping into something beyond me. It helped me to get out of the loop of me trying to figure it out, and me using my own way of looking at it and thinking about it and breaking through that loop. And so I actually, interestingly enough, I was not looking for a clear answer in that moment. What I was looking for was to actually break the loop. And that question really helped me break the loop. It helped me take a step back and move above the situation. And the clarity came in the days that followed, and it was like, oh, okay, the emotion settled and whatnot, and it was allowing for that receptivity as you've been talking about.
I'm really happy to hear that.
Yeah.
So I had something s- kind of similar. And so what came up, one of the things that came up for me was shame. And, it's, these things are, like challenging, these ordinary everyday things that come up for us. Again, I'm not talking about really big intensive situations that take a different kind of care. Just talking about, regular life. So what came up was shame in this particular situation. And I had to let it like reach like full velocity. And it was so uncomfortable, but whatever, I just had to be with it. And then it subsided. And that's what it does, by the way. That's how it works. It reaches its full crescendo if you don't interfere with it. And then it subsides. And as it subsides, you're given a gift. So for me, I just got this like complete certainty about the situation through allowing that shame. I didn't want to sit with it at all, but through allowing it to just be there and open up and whatever, I got a knowing, a certainty, whatever you want to call it, that was so complete. It felt so good. Because I knew that this situation was going to go the way I wanted it to go. Like I just knew it without any, and it was almost like the willingness to be with that. I wouldn't have known that otherwise. I wouldn't have known if I'd have just kind of like reacted to the intensity of the shame or whatever it might have been that was coming up for me. If I'd have reacted to it and kind of like broken its intensity or tried to or whatever, I wouldn't have had that strength to be able to then effortlessly attract the thing that I wanted coming about. And that's kind of the dynamic that I'm talking about. That this is all happening on the inside, meaning, whatever that it is that we want, and we think money is so distinct from, I don't know what you would call this, but whatever this conversation is, we think money's so distinct from that, but it pervades all subject matters. And I think what we're referring to is that energetic strength to be able to be with all of it so that we can effortlessly attract the reality that we desire. And I'll just take that one step further. Where do we receive the desire from? We're only desiring the thing that we're desiring because that's meant for us. It's all coming from the higher space, all of it, the desire and the means to realize that desire. And we didn't think that it was like that, but that's what it is, the desire. And then the means is to be stable as the opposite of that desire is offered, so to speak. and just to remain stable and remain connected and remain like whatever it is that we remain. And then that subsides. And all that's left is the complete strength of knowing that that's going to happen. And the more intense the intensity is, the more knowing we have. The more we're willing to be with that doubt. Let's call it doubt. That's what it all comes down to. It's the doubt that we're going to get the thing that we want. The more intense that doubt is, if we're able to be with that, the stronger the knowing, the easier we're able to attract it.
If let's say I'm very new to your teachings, I've never heard of Kabbalah or the artificial intelligence work that you're doing, and I want to be introduced to it. So how would you, in few points, perhaps,
Mhm.
can you introduce me to your work?
So, yeah, Kabbalah is like a systems science. So essentially, we want to map out the most powerful way of being an intelligent system. So there is an optimal mechanism for being an intelligent system, whether that's a human intelligence or an artificial intelligence, it's all the same intelligence. And to realize the perfection of our intelligence is really the key to the world that we're creating right now. Because we think that AI is external to us, but you can't scale chaos. You can only scale coherence. And so it's really up to us. The more clear our intelligence is, the faster we can scale it out.
Yeah. We can't scale chaos. Yeah, it'll break down at some point. We can try, and at some point, the chaos is gonna fail, and
It's
ultimately, what's sustainable? The only thing that's sustainable is coherence.
This is what we're seeing right now. Everybody's trying all this. This is exactly what we're seeing. Somebody said about a dystopia, utopia with AI, and like the dystopia is right now. What we're seeing right now is the chaos version, but we're going to elevate into the the coherent version. It's a massive training ground that we're all engaged in. We may not realize that. You may, but not everybody may realize that.
Yeah,
But it's a massive cleaning up of intelligence that's occurring at scale.
yeah,
You know, the vision that came to me, Esther, when you said that, it's like when you move to a new home, it's a better home, new home. But if somebody comes and visits you, everything is in boxes, everything is like in chaos, and you don't know where anything is. And it feels like it's not a good situation. But
Mm,
come back in few days, you will see my beautiful home, like perfectly like done. So that's the picture that came to me. We're
that's
in shifting and moving.
that's beautiful because it really speaks to the fact that we've entered this like we entered as in it's gonna like we're continuously entering a greater vessel, right? Like we're continuously breaking and strengthening greater vessels, and it's just like what you said, like we're in this bigger vessel now, but it's total it's mayhem. But this is it's exactly what you said. Like we're gonna get there. Intelligence is it's perfect and it upgrades perfectly. It's just a matter of us not being able to see that being removed. We just want to be able to see that it's actually all exactly how it's supposed to be.
So see the improvement and progress in the middle of chaos and mayhem. I think that's a good way of looking at it.
Esther, you introduced us to a really profound paradigm, and I'm so grateful that you came here and shared your wisdom and your light with us. And we covered th- some really key principles here. We talked about Kabbalah and what it is, and how it is actually the ability to receive intelligence accurately. We talked about alignment, which is really about being in structural integrity with this higher intelligence. And we talked about how challenges are actually signals and opportunities for us to upgrade our system, to find alignment, to remove those things in our vessel that are blocking us from being able to have clear alignment. And this principle of stability and um, asking the questions that will lead us to the clarity and the stability before we make big decisions, ensuring that we're making these decisions from that place of stability. And you have a really beautiful exercise. I love it, and I'd love to share it with our audience. The alignment exercise. It's very simple, and to our audience, if you want to put this into practice, this is a simple exercise that will walk you through the steps. You'll think about a challenge, and the exercise will pose some questions for you to contemplate and work you through to integration. So, Esther, as long as it's okay with you, I'd love to include that and share it with our audience, and we'll do that. We'll include that in the show notes. Are
Mhm.
there any closing remarks you'd like to share, Esther?
Well, firstly, it was really lovely to spend this time with you. Thank you for that. I feel like we've gone through some really beautiful things. I would just say that it's really a privilege to enter into seeing the perfection of intelligence, the perfection of everything as it is.
Thank you so much, Esther. Thank you, Mitra, for also being here with us and for your questions. To our audience, we wish that you find that alignment with the higher intelligence and you get the clarity that you are seeking. Until next time. Thank you so much for tuning in today. For a list of the links and other resources referenced in this episode, check out the podcast description.
If you're benefiting from our podcast, we'd love if you could help us reach more people by subscribing. Your support means the world to us. From our hearts to yours, we thank you.